We'll get started until you're recording.
Okay, I am recording.
Okay.
Try that.
We are on the record at 10:18 a.m.
Morning, thank you all for being here this morning. It's Thursday, March the 20th, 2025, and this is our Ohio Elections Commission meeting. We will start the meeting out by thanking everyone for being here today. And Mr. Richter, if you could do a roll call for attendance.
I will call the roll. I will do so in a minute after saying, to the folks, mainly folks online, we're having a problem here, with, elements of the computer network, that runs Teams that's not working properly. And so we're gonna work through that. The commission members will be able to see you as you address the commission. Sorry, you won't be able to see the commission members, because of the, problem here. We apologize for that, but we're gonna work through what we have here and go through the agenda. Apologize for that, but it's the best we've got, under this set of circumstances. Anyway, Mr. Lyle. Present. Ms. Tavares.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner. Present. Mr. Stoutberg.
Here.
Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mr. Caraway.
Present.
Vice Chair, and for this meeting, Chair Davis.
Here.
All members of the commission are present.
Okay, so we're gonna call our first case, which is under violation against committee, dismiss committee, dispose of $100 fine, and declaration of committee terminated. It was case number 2024F-029. And I believe we have both the complainant and the respondent present today. With those like to come forth, Mr. Peck and Mr. Gilbert.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is a referral for failure to file certain campaign finance report. My recommendation for the commission is to find a violation against the committee, to dismiss the candidate because of the circumstances primarily relating to the former treasurer for the candidate. Impose a fine of $100 and then declare the committee terminated. Mr. Katz is here on behalf of the Secretary of State that filed the complaint. And the respondent, Mr. Gilbert, is also present. And so, Mr. Katz, if you would address the commission first.
Good morning. First, a warning, you're on camera now, so no picking your noses, they can see you. Thank you, Chris, for helping make that happen. Brian Katz from the Ohio Secretary of State's office. First, a quick note, we have some other members of the Secretary of State's team with us. We have a new examiner, our new deputy administrator, and our intern. So they will be hanging out today to learn a little bit more about the Elections Commission, but some of them might have complaints in front of you in the future. As the executive director laid out, the Secretary of State's office has no objection with his recommendation and wish to see this matter resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Gilbert, would you like to approach the commission?
You need to be sworn if you want to make a statement to the commission.
I'm just happy to answer any questions the commission might have.
You first have to be sworn.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I hope the commission will follow the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any of the commission members have questions this morning for Mr. Gilbert? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. We can have a seat. And I guess we will move into someone making a motion to accept the executive
I'll move
director.
that we accept the recommendation of the executive director.
I'll make a second. So we have a motion and a second. We'll get a roll call.
Mr. Stoutberg,
Yes.
Mr. Caraway,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mr. Lyle.
Yes.
Ms. Tavares,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yeah,
That motion passes unanimously.
thank you. Mr. Gilbert, thank you for being here. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We didn't do the minutes. We passed those. Why don't we go ahead and let's get everybody done, and we can always go back and do the minutes. Yeah. Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next case is on the second page of your agenda, working agenda toward the bottom. It's the reconsideration matter, 2023 S011. We received a request from counsel for the estate of the respondent, Mr. Ockford, because they were getting requests from the Attorney General's office for collection. But Mr. Ockford has been deceased for a little over a year now, is my understanding. And so my recommendation is to reconsider the matter, vacate the previous finding, and instead declare the committee terminated pursuant to Ohio Elections Commission Advisory Opinion 97 ELC 04, as the county treasurer is deceased, and then should dismiss the matter. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Mr. Katz is here again on behalf of the Secretary of State's office, if there are any questions for the Secretary's office.
Any questions from the commission? Mr. Katz, would you like to come forward and statement or anything?
I don't believe that's necessary. Thank you very much for the time.
Commission members?
Madam Chair.
So we're gonna start with Mr. Carroll.
I beat you to it. Yeah, that's fine.
And then Mr. Lyle.
Mr. Richter, I'm not seeing it on the ICW. Could you tell me what Mr. Opfer, what he was found in violation, right?
It was for a late filing of the campaign finance, or actually, I think I failed to file initially back in 2023, and only later were we apprised of the circumstances where he had been. His last campaign filing was like in 2014, I think, and he hadn't run for office since like 2011, I think it was. He was in a nursing home for the last year or so before he passed away. And he was the candidate and treasurer for the committee. And so after being apprised of all those circumstances, I thought it was appropriate to make this recommendation to resolve this matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lyle?
Yes, Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I was actually going to move to accept the executive director's recommendation.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Like to proceed with the vote?
Do we just all in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Katz.
Clarification to confirm you did find them terminated.
We did declare, yeah, a part of my recommendation is to declare the committee terminated.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody's time.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, let's just work there. Let's do the folks that are here first. Let's call next case number 2025 R-010, Keith Simmons. Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is one of the good cause recommendations that I'm making the report. It's under the good cause category. It's the last one listed in the good cause number 4 on page 1 agenda. Item number 42. Certainly we can hear further from Mr. Simmons if the commission wants to do so, but my recommendation, the report has been filed based on his explanation. My recommendation is to find a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine or refer the matter to further prosecution.
Will commission members like to hear from Mr. Simmons this morning? Okay. Yes. Okay, Mr. Simmons, thank you for being here. You need to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
I'm just talking to someone. To me, it's like your recommendation.
You were referred for, I think it was originally failing to file a campaign finance report. Subsequently, I found out that you filed the report, you submitted a response to the commission, giving an explanation as to why the report was not timely filed. And so my recommendation to the commission is to find if there was a violation because the report was not timely filed, but for good cause not impose a fine or refer the matter for the prosecution. The commission has an ability to either refer matters to prosecution if they believe that's the appropriate response, or to impose fines. Fines can be up to $100 per day for late filings. But in this particular case, my recommendation is to find if there's good cause not to impose a fine.
If I'm right, the good news from your parents for it. Thank you very much.
And it's the best news short of finding no violation, let's put it that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Commission members, do you have any questions for Mr. Simmons?
I'll move recommendation of the executive director.
Second,
We have lots of seconds.
Bernie. I think. It's good.
Do we want to?
Let's go.
I think just call for a vote. I'd say just call. Good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. You're free to leave if you like, or you can stay. We'd love to have you.
Is Mr. Barham here? No, okay, Mr. Barham was the gentleman who was here with the, minister. The next item I would call before the commission is also in the good cause category. Chris, this is, item, 2024 R390, the Briggenbach is who we have there. This is the White House Income Tax Committee. They were also referred for, initially failing to file a campaign finance report. The report was subsequently filed, a response was submitted. My recommendation is to find that there's a violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for the prosecution. Mr. Riggenbach is online. If the commission would like to hear from him, to be sworn and make a statement to the commission.
Commission members, would you like to hear from Mr. Rickenbach?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Rickenbach, could you be sworn in and provide any testimony that you would like to give the commission here today?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
It's very faint.
It's very faint, so.
Okay, is that better? You guys are really loud and I'm not loud enough, I guess, so we're gonna get through this together. So I just wanted to, I'm the chairman of the committee, I'm not the treasurer of the committee. Our treasurer has had some pretty serious health issues that have, I think, been the reason for some of these lack of filings or lack of information. Myself and another committee member have been actively working with the Board of Elections with the Lucas County office to finalize the $9 to $10 that they need information on. The accounts have been closed. There's no additional activity going on with the committee. My understanding from a recent email from the Lucas County Board of Elections is if we can get them some final 2024 annual report by next Friday, which would be March 28th, they, on their end, they would consider the matter closed and the treasurer would then not be referred to your group, the Ohio Elections Commission. That is literally like, I've never done this before, right? So this is, I was asked as a citizen to help this committee. This is everything I got for you. I really don't know what we're even supposed to do at this point, other than finish up the information that the Lucas County office has requested to identify where this $9 to $10 that they say we didn't report on is at. But so I'm at the mercy of this committee and your thought process, but there's my truthful testimony on the situation.
Thank you, Ms. Rosen. Any questions or concerns from the commission members today?
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay, there's both the motion to accept my recommendation to find violation but for good cause not impose a fine has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes 7-0. The next case I would call before the commission, Chris, this is 2025 R002, Ms. Pitts or Mr. Pitts. The Citizens for Better Schools. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. Fitz is the last name that's been affiliated with Ms. Fitz. And so, Ms. Fitz, are you the treasurer for the committee?
1 moment.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, she's muted.
Could you,
Ms. Betts, you're muted.
could you set this near the,
Okay, there you go. If you want to address the commission, you would be, you need to be sworn, and make a statement to the commission.
Yes, please.
okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Fitz, you can proceed with any comments you want to make before the commission today.
Thank you very much. This was an error in our reporting. I apologize sincerely. I've been the treasurer for Citizens for Better Schools for 9 years, and we've done an annual golf outing the last 3 years. And I mistakenly reported a couple of the golf participants paying for their entire team with cash. I did submit a corrected report because after what they paid in less expenses, the contributions were less than $50. I have submitted corrected report and I am 100% in balance with the bank. And I've been working with the Lorain County Board of Elections for the last, like I said, 9 years. Because when I inherited this position and volunteered for it, the prior treasurer had been very ill and they had misrepresented some of our reportings. And I was working with them to get it all sorted out, and we've been in balance to the penny since. And this was just an error on my part. Going forward, it will not happen again. And I'm also thankfully going to be replaced as treasurer soon because we found a replacement. And I'm sorry, that's really all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Fitz. Any questions from the commission? Okay.
I will stand by my recommendation to find a violation, impose a fine of $50, but certainly if the commission decides it wants to do something other than that, I understand that and would support it wholly.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to find a violation of the cause.
Yes, a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to find a violation, but for good cause not impose a fine or refer the matter for the prosecution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
That was 6-1, I think, with Mr. Caraway voting no. So that motion passes. The commission found there was a violation for the late filing, but for good cause did not impose a fine or refer the matter for further prosecution. So
I'm
short
sorry,
of
what does
removal,
that mean?
that means that you don't owe, there is no fine imposed for the violation that the commission found for your initial improper filing and then subsequent correction of those filings.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much. You too.
The next case I'll call Chris is case number 2024 R-379, item number 26. My recommendation is to find violation and impose a $100 fine. There is a
What's the name?
Galloway
Galloway.
who was present online. The report was, I think, originally not filed and was subsequently filed. There was no response submitted to the commission, and so that's the basis for my recommendation at this point to impose a $100 fine. Certainly, if the commission would like to hear further from Mr. Galloway as it relates to why the report was not timely filed, he can be sworn and do so. That could change my recommendation.
Commission members, would you like to hear from Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway, if you could be sworn in and
Yes.
Good, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I disagree with the response. I did send a response in, and it was received by the commission. I had it tracked by the U.S. Postal Service. It was picked up by actually by the commission. So I don't know where it is within your facility, but it is somewhere in your facility.
Okay, and it could be I lost it. I apologize for that, but please go ahead and essentially repeat the essence of what it was that you submitted.
What I was going to say is, truly, it was, this was my doing. I was a novice treasurer. It was the first time running or doing this favor for Diane Marzano Snyder. And I directed her improperly on the two transactions, and they were both mine. She decided to not do any type of fundraising at all at the beginning. And she to do her campaign. So she funded it herself. So what she did was she transferred the money from her personal account into the committee account. And then at the end, since she was term limited out her last running for being a city council, we just closed the account and she just cashed it out. So both were cash transactions. They were both my fault and not hers. And I did not know the regulations governing by the commission of the limiting funds of $100 of the cash transaction. So I do apologize. You know, I wish I knew the regulations at the time, but unfortunately I did not. And that was, like I said, I regret my decisions. So, but it, like I said, that was just a simple error of judgment on my part. And I did a count and I showed the transaction as best as I could, you know, to my reports to the commission at the time. So, and I do regret that.
Thank you, Mr. Galloway. Are there any questions for commission members for Mr. Galloway?
I have one question, if I could, Mr. Galloway.
Yes.
How did you send your response in? Did you send it certified mail to the U.S. Postal Service, or how did you send it?
I sent it not certified mail. I sent it mail, but I tracked it through the mail.
So USPS priority mail was tracking?
Yes,
And so then you just plug the number into the computer and you can see that it was delivered.
correct.
What's the address that you have on the submission?
Give me a second. And I can even let you know of the tracking number.
Yeah, send that in if you could. I would just say, you know, this is not the first time that we've had this issue, so I would encourage the commission to make sure.
I don't need to interrupt you.
Well,
It was
just wait a
priority
moment.
mail.
Yeah, just wait a moment. I just want to encourage the commission to have really good tracking mechanisms in place because these folks deserve their due process and consideration as well. And I don't want to put them in the position where they have to summarize things that have already been submitted. We should be stamping these things in and having good tracking mechanisms. I do want to make sure, to be fair to the commission, that we have the appropriate address. What's the address that you have?
I have it 77 South High Street, Suite 1850, Columbus, Ohio.
Correct, Chris, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Send, if you would, the tracking information to Mr. Hughes. If you could. He'll provide his contact information offline. And I would just ask the commission really implement a specific protocol to make sure we're stamping these things in and we have a good record. I think that's important for the commission.
Yes, because that was my fear, you know, of it potentially getting lost. So that's why I did a priority mail to ensure. So,
Yeah, I share your same concern. A lot of times I like to have that tracking to know that it got there, and it's helpful to know. I implement that in my own life. I would just then ask the executive director, Phil, does anything that he said, I presume not, but does anything that he said change your recommendation?
Yeah, but Mr. Kirschner, members of the commission, I would change my recommendation, find a violation, and impose a fine of $50 instead of the $100 fine. You know, considering what he discussed in terms of the mistakes made and not necessarily being aware of the requirements as it relates to $100 transactions, I would assert that it still merits fine. But again, if the commission decides it wants to go in a different direction, potentially for a good cause, I would have no problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Richter. Mr. Galloway, I'd like to ask, what's the delivery date on that notice and tracking?
the delivery date is the 18th.
The 18th of March? Is that what you're saying? 3/18/25?
3/18/25. Yes.
So that would have been yesterday.
No.
2 days ago.
No, it was Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I agree with the executive director in reducing the fine amount, particularly because Mr. Richter, correct me if I'm wrong, part of your thinking as to why he deserved a $100 fine was because we had not received a response.
Correct.
And so I do believe that, particularly on cash outs and improperly doing it does warrant a fine as well. With that, Madam Chair, I will make a motion to accept the revised recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Who seconded? Was that Mr.?
Mr. Watt.
Okay.
Yes. It actually was sent on March 12th. So it should have actually, you should have received it on that Friday, but.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Galloway. We have a motion on the floor, so the commission is gonna vote. If you could hold on for 1 second there.
The motion is now to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. So the commission found a violation and imposed a $50 fine, Mr. Galloway.
Thank you very much.
The next item I would bring to the commission is item number 11, Chris, 2023 R-518. Renee Green. My recommendation is to find the violation and impose a fine of $200. There were prior matters before the commission and there was no response. Certainly the commission could hear from Ms. Green as to the circumstances that led to the late filing, and that could potentially change my recommendation. Ms. Green, if you would be sworn and make a statement to the commission.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I cannot hear
You
you.
might be seated on your end. She is.
Okay, I'm unmuted,
There we go.
and I do swear. Late filing or no filing, I don't remember which happened first. But on December 26th of 2022, I was admitted to the General Medical Center and not released until January 3rd. From there, I went to a nursing facility, 31 of that.
Sorry, you cut out. Could you repeat what you were saying, after you, were released from the hospital and went to, it sounded like a nursing home?
Yes, I went to for until January 31st, January 27th, and then I was readmitted to the hospital on February 14th and sent to another nursing home until March of 17 of that same year. So in between getting out of the hospital, my family give me
Are you
all the,
cutting out again?
okay, maybe I should, I did not receive mail from my family during my hospital stays and my nursing home stay. And to my recollection, once I did find the letter to file, I believe that I had filed. If not, then I will stand corrected on that. But I have documentation from one nursing home, the hospital, and I'm waiting for the second one from the second nursing home before I submit these with my notarized statement. But from 12/26, basically through mid-March, I was confined somewhere.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Green. Do commission members have any comments or questions?
Madam Chair, I guess I have some questions for Mr. Richter. So I'm looking at the ICW and it says report due 1:30, I see 1:31, so we're essentially a year late. Okay. But then we have priors actually go back, only priors I see, unless I'm wrong here. What's on it was in 210 and 209, and we never really consider those unless they're 5 years or earlier.
Generally, that's the case, correct?
Right, okay. So basically, we're just dealing with that was a year late and obviously some mitigating circumstances. I just want to clarify that on the ICW.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I would change my recommendation, members, based on her statement and what she went through now, apprised of it, that we would find violation, but for good cause, not oppose a fine or for the matter of further prosecution.
Mr. Richter, Madam Chair, if I may, the respondent has had 2 priors. So where would those 2 priors work into your?
Well, as Mr. Lyle indicated, as long ago as they were from 2010.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
I would tend to, not totally ignore them, but under this set of circumstances of what she gave as her explanation for the physical difficulties that she had, I would take that into consideration. And even though it was a rather extended period of time for the filing, to go ahead and make a good cause recommendation.
Would move the recommendation of the executive director, the revised recommendation.
Second.
I think that was Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Ms. Green, we have found that there was a violation for your late filing, but for good cause, we did not oppose the fine.
Thank you very kindly. And I will say, I appreciate that, and I will get these documents to you with the notarized signature.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Take care.
The next case I would call number 41, Chris 2025R-009, Heather McCullough. And it appears Ms. McCullough is present remotely. I was informed yesterday by staff at the Chattanooga County Board of Elections that they are now considering the reports to be complete, and that she has come into compliance as of yesterday. I think there are priors outstanding as it relates to Ms. McCullough. And so at this point, my recommendation is to find a violation, impose a fine of $300. Ms. McCullough, you have an opportunity to be sworn and make an additional statement to the commission.
Good morning, Ms. McCullough. We're unable to see you. If you're able to turn on your
Hi, I'm
camera.
plugging in now. Hi,
Thank you.
I'm in transit. Okay.
Yes, she wrote Jeff on. She is essentially acting person.
Please raise your right hand.
Uh,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Did you catch that? Oh, she's frozen.
So you may be frozen. You may want to go back to the point that you were so that we can, we're able to hear you. Are you able to just stand there?
oh, I'm back where I was.
Okay, okay. So are we gonna do the re-swearing in or are we not?
Well, I didn't get a response. Do you
Okay.
swear that the testimony will be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. McCullough, you can go ahead.
I'm not quite certain, and I didn't quite hear the beginning of when this started, but I hope you all have received my response. I mailed that out on March 7th. I did what I was asked. Everything that she asked me for, I gave her. She asked for canceled checks. I gave her that. She asked one of the donors' addresses. I gave her that. She asked for bank statements. I gave her that. She asked for the money that I had paid to my campaign manager be returned. She wrote me a check. I did everything I was asked. I even amended my report following when I noticed a mistake. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any questions or conversation from the commission?
Madam Chair, I just have a question of the staff executive director. Ms. McCullough indicated that she had mailed her response in on March 7th. Did you mail it priority mail, Ms. McCullough, or track it or?
Certified, I thought I had it set up for tracking, but I don't see a tracking number on here. But I sent it out 77 South High Street. I'm on the receipt. I mean, on the actual certified thing, I didn't put the 1850, but I do believe it was on the envelope. So that was sent out March 7th.
Thank you.
And Ms. McCullough, my question for you is, you say you sent her everything she asked. Who is she? Are you talking about the Board of Elections?
Yes, Ms. Amato, when this started, she sent me an email. She sent me a letter back in November requesting a few things. I immediately started sending her what she asked for. I didn't have everything she asked for at that moment, but I was updating her as I got something. I would send her an email and let her know I was working on the rest. I sent some more stuff in. In January, she sent me a letter saying she had referred me to the commission and I had a court date for January 31st. And I emailed her and I'm like, well, why? I mean, I've sent everything you asked for. And she said, well, I didn't get anything from you. And then I told her when I sent it, she went back through her emails and she said, oh, I see where you did send me something. So she canceled the January 31st hearing. Then we had a later conversation because she said I hadn't sent her the canceled checks. Yes, I did. And she went, oh, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And then after she saw everything, then she still sent me over to you all. I don't know what else she wanted.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Richter, do we have a letter are you in receipt of a letter from Ms. McCullough from the 7th?
No, I went back and looked in the file and I don't recall receiving anything. Yeah, so no, I didn't expect anything. Certainly her statement here would qualify as that, but I did not see a statement in the file.
In that packet I sent.
Did you was it a green card? Did you
Yes.
send her in?
green card certified mail, and there is no,
Yes,
there's no
yes.
tracking information on that?
No, I actually, and I tried to track it this morning just to be sure, and it's telling me where I can text the tracking number too, but they didn't actually put a tracking number on here. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
certified.
that is, I believe, a certificate of mailing, not a
Right.
certificate of mail receipt. So
And that's what I was asking for. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with
just
this.
listen. for
But
just
in
a
that
moment.
mailing, I sent a copy of everything that I sent to her.
If you would listen for just a moment.
Okay.
I would like you to send a copy of that certificate of mailing to Mr. Hughes. He will give his information to you offline. Because
Okay.
I don't think that that's certified mail. I think you probably just have a certificate that it was mailed. But let's send that to him. Did you explain what you explained to us in that letter?
Yes,
And to the
along with
extent.
copies of everything, including, I believe, a copy of the amended report. Or at least the front page of the amended report. So you can see
Thank
that it was done.
To the executive director, do you feel comfortable making a recommendation, an updated recommendation now, or would you rather review those materials before you update your recommendation, if at all?
No, I would be comfortable in making a recommendation because I had a conversation yesterday with staff at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. Because it's a couple things. One, originally I got an email back from staff 2 days ago that was requesting that I continue this matter further. Then yesterday I got a telephone call from Ms. Amato, who she referred to, who indicated no, she was satisfied with what she had gotten. And that she considered the campaign financial reports complete. So my recommendation to the commission would be based on the fact that Ms. Amato reflected that the reports were filed and completed as of yesterday. Based on her statement, then, I'm prepared to make a recommendation now to say that there was a violation. My recommendation will be to impose a $200 fine and not $300, because this is the third case before the commission involving Ms. McCullough. The last case involved the commission finding violation, imposing a $150 fine. That fine was paid. So that's where I'm coming from. Certainly, if the commission wants to go in a different direction, as always, I understand and respect that.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. I just want to make some clarity. I've got some old postal days from 15 years ago when I worked here. What you held up on the screen is actually certified mail. There should be a number on that, which you don't have. The green card is the return receipt, which are two separate things. Is
Right.
there a number on there? It should start with a letter and then have a list of about 16 numbers.
Or just start with numbers.
No, I think there was some disconnect on what I wanted versus what they were telling me, because they were saying what,
Can you hold
That
that?
I could
up again, please?
still
Can you
track
hold that- Can you hold that up again?
Yes.
If you turn that to that's certified mail. If you can hold it up to the camera.
It's not, yeah,
Turn it the other way.
right.
There is a
By
tracking.
your right hand, right, by your right hand, there is a number that runs along the edge.
over here.
That is the tracking number.
Okay. Most of the time they would put it on the receipt and it would say tracking number.
But that's your certified tracking number, so you can track exactly where it is. You just would not be getting a return receipt back from the commission. I just wanted to clear that up for the record.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question of the executive director. For priors, for this campaign, how long ago?
I don't get my, Mr. Rivard has it. I think it was.
Yeah, there was one in 2018, there was $100 fine and she paid the fine. There was one in 19, $150 fine, and the fine was paid. On that.
Thank you.
I had a question for the director.
Commissioner Knight?
When we
assess fines, do we give any credit for having paid previous fines versus those that have not?
Yes, I will do so, yes.
Okay.
If there is not a payment, then I will tend to more than double the fine amount that I am recommending.
So had these two fines been unpaid, what would you have recommended?
Probably $400.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I just have a question, because on the ICW, it says the report due date is actually 1/6/2025. And so, Ms. McCollum, when did you send those in to us?
I saw that too, but remember initially, she had set me for a date at the end of January and then canceled. So, and I had actually called your commission and I was told that as long as I got my response in by the 13th, I was okay.
And who did you speak to here?
It would have been me.
I don't recall. I don't.
Most likely it would have been me.
Mr. Richter, do you recall when Cuyahoga County asked, it sounds like the Board of Elections called and asked us to take it off of the agenda?
They asked, initially, they sent an email back that included notations on my ICW, which I sent up to them.
Right.
That was on Tuesday, that she asked for the matter to be continued. And then yesterday, she reached back out to me by telephone, just called me and said she is now considering the reports to be complete as of yesterday.
Okay. And your recommendation, it stands at what?
Fine violation, imposed fine of $200.
So you're reducing it based off of.
Based on the statement that she made to us here, the fact that we didn't have a previous statement available to take into consideration, she has now made a statement, and so I'm taking that into consideration as I make my updated recommendation.
Okay.
No, well, I actually had a question. So if the date, so I guess I'm a little confused. So if the due date was 1/6, and then we unilaterally change the dates, we have that ability as to when it's due. She said she got an extension for what, the 13th or something?
She was saying, I think, she was anticipated meeting with the Board of Elections on the 31st of January. I think is what she said.
Right, but does that,
Oh, I mean,
does that actually change the date of when the report is due is my question.
I guess I never, it certainly could, yes. How about that? That's the best answer I can provide.
So then I'm trying to figure a date as to how late she actually was. It's the first, so let's assume it's the 31st.
It's about 45 days. Oh, well, it's yesterday will be the 19th.
So we just,
About 47 days, I guess.
all right, so she is late about 40 some days.
Correct.
Oh,
And I
Are
was
you
late
saying-
47 days when I wasn't. I don't understand that.
Well, Ms. McCullough, if your report was due
January 6th.
January 6th, but you didn't have all the documentation, they were giving you extensions to submit, because you said you had to continue to submit cancel checks and then they asked for
No.
something.
No, that's not quite accurate. What I said was that I had sent her some stuff and she scheduled me for January 31st. I called her, or at least I emailed her, one or the other, and I told her that, and she said that the reason she had referred me was because she hadn't heard from me. And I told her when I sent her the stuff, starting back in the end of November and 2 emails in December, giving her what she asked for. She then canceled the January 31st hearing. So at that point, how would I be expected to send something in on the 5th if I'm not even aware that I have a hearing? Then later I got another notice saying I had today's date. That came, I believe, in February or March. I'm not sure exactly, but I believe in February. And then I submitted it.
So Ms. McCullough,
It might be late, but not 45 days.
What day did you actually file your report? with the Cuyahoga County Board of Election.
If you're talking about my campaign finance report, I had submitted that on time. But then with her asking for additional information, because I believe I sent that in October of 2023. And then there was another one due, I believe, in December or something like that. And so both of those were on time. But I amended the latest report because I realized I made a mistake.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCullough.
So just for clarity, when I'm just reading off the ICW, because obviously Bill doesn't have his computer, but the allegation is failure to file requested addendums to the 2023 pre-general and the 2023 post-general reports. Just so we're all clear as to they're
Addendums to the report. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Yeah. Madam Chair,
Mr. Carey, Commissioner Greenwood.
thank you. I would like to make a motion to find a violation and impose a fine of the revised amount of $200 for the respondent, Mrs. McCall.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second for Mr. Commissioner Carey's motion?
Seconded.
We have a motion. It's been properly second, and want to do a roll call vote or?
Okay, why don't we do a roll call vote? Mr. Wild,
yes.
Ms. Tavares,
No.
Mr. Stoutberg,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
No.
Mr. Kirchner,
Yes.
Mr. Caraway,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
That motion passes us 5-2.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough.
Bye-bye.
All right, we have one more person who I believe is online. This is case number 2025R-001. So the next page, it's the last one. I do not have a current recommendation on this matter, Commission members. Amber Keener, who was the respondent in that case, it was here. She did submit a response, although it was not properly notarized. I circulated that to everybody. It was submitted the other day. The primary thing that has been alleged here in the report from the Knox County Board is that Ms. Keener made some improper refunds of contributions, which are not allowed, not only by statute, but the commission has opined on that subject as well, indicating that unless there are certain specific circumstances applicable in the statute, refunds of contributions are not proper. Certainly, I would like to hear further, personally, I would like to hear further from Ms. Keener as to what she has to say. And so if you would be sworn, Ms. Keener, and address the commission further, I'd be appreciated.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Keener, you can go ahead and speak before the commission.
So the funds that I received that were returned were all based on a run that I began for the Ohio State House. When I pulled out of that race, I talked to a number of individuals around Cap Square that have a lot of experience in campaign finance. I can mention them if you want those references, but I was told that this is a fairly common thing to do when you pull out of a race to return donated funds that were donated for a specific race. So I began to do that, and then I turned in my annual report. When I turned in the annual report, I have not been treasurer before. I had a very solid treasurer in Margaret Ann Rule, who stepped down when I began the run for the state house. She just is retiring from doing that sort of thing. And so I had another individual volunteer who had no experience with campaign finance. And so it was kind of the blind leading the blind there, I will say. After I was told this isn't how this is done, I called the Secretary of State's office. I talked to Mr. Katz there and another woman and explained these funds were given specifically for this state representative race. And these individuals donated with the idea that these funds would be utilized for the state rep race. Are you able to hear me? I'm getting an echo. All right, I apologize. When I talked to Mr. Katz and others in the Secretary of State's office, they indicated that I had filled out the forms, or my treasurer had filled them out incorrectly, and that those donations were supposed to be on a loan form, and that I needed to go back and make amendments to my campaign finance report. So I went all the way back to the beginning and began again. There were additional complications as the local party here in Knox County asked me to run for county treasurer. And so I had multiple reports going in and out for county, for state rep, trying to wrap that up. It was a very confusing time. We had a lot of new staff at our Board of Elections that just did not have that historical knowledge of how to run different campaign finance reports at the same time and to close things out. And so I had believed that those amended reports were what were necessary to move us forward. When the Board of Elections reached out to me and to my treasurer, he had broken his femur and was on bed rest and had some major medical issues during that summer. I had a baby last year, and so that follow-up was kind of lost in the mix. And I was just informed in February that I had even been referred to you.
Thank you, Ms. Keener. Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Keener, a question. Who shared with you that you needed to return donations of your campaign for state representative? I've never heard of that.
So I talked to Frank LaRose, the Secretary of State. I talked to Mike Hartley, who has been heavily involved in campaigns. I talked to Mike Ditto, who also has been involved in campaigns for a very long time, as well as Tim Ross, who works with Americans for Prosperity. These were individuals that I felt had a wide breadth of knowledge to inform me on this decision that I was making. And I was told this is standard. People return donations for specific races all the time. So this is why I'm very confused.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a follow-up. So you were told to return donations for a campaign that you removed yourself from running, so you didn't finish that campaign, you left before the election?
So I left before the primary happened, and I reached out to these individuals because I wanted to know if this was something that happened. If returning donations, it felt like the right and ethical thing to do. When people supported me for a certain position, I felt like it would be inappropriate to use those funds for other races. And I was trying to do the right thing by the donors, which is why I was talking to those individuals who I felt had a lot of experience in this.
And just my final question, Madam Chair. So you were given guidance to make donations back to donors, which is not acceptable in the campaign finance law. But more importantly, did you have any conversation with any of the folks that received their donations back, that they were loaning you the money? Or did they donate to your campaign because they believed in you?
They were loaning to my campaign in order to support this race for state rep.
So there was a discussion of a loan for each one of them? Each one of them said they were loaning you money, not making a donation?
Yes, I do not have it in writing because a lot of these conversations were in person.
So Ms. Keener, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Ms. Keener, my question to you, you said that you spoke to several folks who you named, and neither of those individuals suggested that you contact the Ohio Elections Commission, who handles campaign finance, that could really give you full clarity on that, and you didn't think to contact the commission?
I felt that contacting the Secretary of State's office, Frank LaRose personally, that I was getting good information. I do not disagree that my naivety and lack of experience in campaign finance definitely contributed to this. However, I simply thought that I was doing the right thing. And it required a lot of effort on my part, but I thought that doing the right thing was worth the extra steps. Which I thought were what.
I have one other question. Before you ran for your state house seat, were you a current sitting councilwoman at the time?
Yes.
So did you switch your campaign account from the council campaign, close that out and created a separate campaign account for the state rep seat? Or did you just switch the name of it?
So I did not switch the actual bank account, but I turned in the change of position sought form. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly which form that is. So I did make that change. And because they were all running simultaneously, there was no good guidance. When I talked to the Secretary of State's office, no one indicated that I could reach out to you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Yeah.
Miss, you indicated that you had conversations with a number of folks relating to this issue. Do you have any written communication with them concerning these matters?
As I said, these were in-person conversations.
Yeah, do you have anything? I just wanted an answer. Do you have anything in writing from them on these issues?
I do not.
You did not receive any written communication from any of the folks that you mentioned?
I did not, no.
And did you write them back? Did you direct communication from yourself to any of these folks confirming what they said to you?
I think I generally followed up with a phone call. I'm trying to think back to that specific time period so that I give accurate information. But I can't think of a single one that I reached out to in writing, because these were fundraising calls and in-person conversations.
There was some information. Good. So on Knox County, let me know, I want to make sure we don't pay attention.
Sorry, Commissioner.
As it relates to Knox County, there's some issues in their complaint relating to donations, loans, and reclassification. Most things start off with verbal communication. Did you document these so-called loans in any way through a loan agreement?
No, I did not know that the loan form existed at that time.
Have you ever entered into a loan with a bank?
Me personally, no.
Do you know that that's usually memorialized through a note, a promissory note?
No, I did not.
That's curious. Okay, so did you ever email anyone or put in writing to anyone that these were loans?
No,
And did they ever email or write or text or put anything in written communication back to you confirming that these were loans?
not that I can remember, and so I will say no.
And did anyone ever, after the fact, request from you in writing or otherwise repayment on these loans?
So not in writing, I did receive several phone calls whenever I stepped out of the race of individuals who called me and said, hey, you know, that I was supportive of you running for the state house, but we really would like to receive those funds back. I may have text messages to that effect. I would have to go back through and search, but I feel like the request of funding to be returned, I do have a few messages about that, I believe.
But no initial email back and forth about a loan being issued?
No.
And then the last one I have relates to Knox County. They indicated in their complaint document about a refusal to cooperate. I have no reason to think that they're anything other than objective. Why did you not participate in their request for cooperation on these issues?
That was not a refusal to cooperate. That was a lack of understanding of this process and what was even happening. Like I said, I had a baby last year. It was a very busy time. I was separating from an abusive relationship at the time as well. And so things like this, I did not even understand what the process was happening or what was being asked of me. It simply was a time in which I was trying to pay my bills, raise my kids, and have a safe space. So.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question of the executive director. There seems to be some concern with respect to when a donation was communicated as a loan. I think this needs to go to a hearing.
I wouldn't disagree with that, let's put it that way. I'm troubled by the circumstances, and like I said, while I could make a simple violation recommendation as to what the penalty would be, or any other circumstance, I would have concerns about making that kind of a recommendation. And I contemplated recommending the commission to set a matter for hearing, in order to clarify some of those situations as it relates to whether there were loans, et cetera, because certainly the history, as explained, and then the history and looking through the campaign finance book, I didn't share with you, you can see that the referral is rather thick. Of everything being initially listed as contributions, refunds made, and then subsequently changing the contributions to loans, to put it kindly, I guess, and so I don't necessarily disagree with you that a more full and complete hearing on this with testimony, particularly from the individuals who participated in the circumstances, let's put it that way, would be beneficial. And so that's why I never changed my recommendation as I normally do it, right? Or like, well, something else. I'm personally, in my position, not personally, but in my position, I'm troubled by the circumstances that are outlined in this referral and the response that we've received so far.
Madam Chair, I have a question of Ms. Keener, and then it's the director.
Yes, Commissioner Knight.
So one of the folks listed, Michael Hartley, who I only know from seeing him on Sunday morning TV as a consultant for Republican candidates. It says $960.60 less fees, original donation, $1,000. So is this some sort of in-kind relation, in-kind return of consulting fees? Can you give me a little more background on what that is?
He made a payment through the WinRed because he felt like that would be the easiest way to send the money. And so when I was sending back the money, I simply reduced it by the amount of money that was taken out by the service fees.
Okay, got it. But this is a direct donation or loan as determined. There is no consultative relationship.
No, no.
Okay, thank you. And this for the executive director. Though I agree with everything said about hearing, my question is, would we be, as a commission, issuing subpoenas of these folks? Because, I mean, I don't anticipate, I mean, I don't want to speak for Ms. Keener, but, you know, it's not like she's represented by counsel. You know, is she going to issue subpoenas? I mean, I guess unless we have the ability to issue subpoenas ourselves, I'm not sure we're going to get more fact finding than we've already got from this discussion here.
We have the ability to issue subpoenas. We do issue subpoenas, and I was planning on issuing subpoenas to those persons.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha.
Yes, Commissioner Fairway.
Madam Chair, a couple of questions. First for Mr. Richter to follow up on Commissioner Knight's comment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Knox County is not the complainant. It was a referral, right?
Well, they're technically the complainant, but this is a referral that we received from the Knox County Board of Elections. Correct.
And so Knox County would have no duty.
I would inform them of this matter going to hearing. I would probably encourage them to attend, yes. You know, but I don't know what their participation would be at this point. I have not had that conversation with them.
And this became a referral over from Knox County because the respondent had taken a state account and changed the designation and sent it back to the board of, you know, where they would be filing their reports with Secretary of State as state reports. She then began to file them at the local board of elections because she was then a candidate for county treasurer.
I have not had the specific conversations, but I am presuming that to be the case. Yes, that she had an open campaign committee with Knox County Board, subsequently transferred it to the secretary's office to run for state rep, then brought it back to the Knox County Board of Elections when she gave up that run for state rep, and was obligated to file reports with the Knox County Board, having essentially moved the campaign committee back there. She did file some of those campaign finance reports, then she has subsequently amended them and submitted amended reports with the Knox County Board of Elections. And the Knox County Board of Elections then, troubled by the circumstance, referred the matter to us.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Keener, if I may. You know, when you take a look at some of the contributions that was on the referral from Knox County, Michael Hartley, Lynn Keener, the sheet metal workers, I know a few of these entities and individuals, and candidly, I don't believe the sheet metals worker, for example, the workers union, who are very generous to Ohio political candidates of both parties, give them in the form of loans. It is a contribution. So I'm having trouble with that because I don't know that some of these people. Now, you as the candidate, maybe you were giving yourself a loan, which is certainly permissible, happens all the time. You know, that the candidate gives their campaign committee a loan. I had briefly spoken with Mr. Richter. In federal campaigns, there are such things as refunds. If you take a look, for example, of the Josh Mandel Senate race in 2022, you look at his post exiting the race, you will see refunds. However, with the advisory opinion passed in 1999, it's very clear that Ohio law does not permit Ohio law doesn't permit what you've done, so.
So I do have one response to that. The sheet metal workers is the only one that I believe I actually have written communication where they asked for those funds to be returned. So that one, very specifically, I know that I have gotten calls on it. It took me a very long time actually to even get that check sent because like I said, I was busy getting a separation from an abusive situation, and it just was not on my priority list to get them back those funds. I guess that my gut was telling me the right thing, but I did send it back to them, but after a lot of communication on their part, they are the only ones that I believe I have an actual written message requesting funding to be returned. So I believe you because they are generous and they're a great group, but in this particular situation, that was a request that they made.
And I certainly, Madam Chair, if I may, just for the record, I understand where you are in your line of thinking that, okay, these contributors gave my campaign committee, now I'm going to call it a contribution, okay, not a loan. They gave the campaign committee, they were investing in your candidacy for the Ohio legislature. And you subsequently withdrew from that race into that campaign and sought another office. And so I can see where your line of thinking would be of, hey, they invested in my campaign for state representative, not for county treasurer. But the problem, we have a little thing in the way of us here, and that's the law. And so, Madam Chair, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could, I'd like to move that we move this matter to a full hearing.
Second.
And I
We have a pending motion.
Ms.
Please.
Keener, we have a motion on the floor now, but we're not able to speak.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Ms. Keener.
Sorry. So what are my next steps here? I think that I've conveyed pretty clearly that I was trying to do the most honest and ethical thing. And I understand that state law is against me in this. Maybe that's something that needs to be reapproached. But what can I do to help you with information, with individuals who were involved in this? Is there anything that I can help with? Because
Ms.
I
Keener,
would just like,
I just want to pause you for a second because we just had a motion on the floor that we're going to move this to an actual hearing. And then at that time, you're going to get information to come to a hearing. And then you will be required, or you should submit all of your evidence and information that you have. That will be the help for yourself regarding this case because we are going to move it forward.
okay, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good afternoon or rest of your day. It's not afternoon yet. Thank you.
All right, I think that's all. That's all, Chris.
That's it.
That's all for persons attending the meeting. You can go back and work our way through the agenda. All right. Anyway, members, we go back to the top of the agenda. We'll go to the approval of the minutes, February 27th. I sent out updated minutes yesterday to everybody after some corrections were given to me by Mr. Knight and Mr. Lyle. So those were circulated yesterday. You need a motion to approve the minutes or the changes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes in second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Will you just run through these?
Please.
Okay, yeah. The next matter is withdrawn, and so merely acknowledging it here is all that we need to do as it relates to item number 28, case number 2024 R33. The Board of Elections reflected that the matter be withdrawn, so therefore a matter can be withdrawn at any time prior to the commission taking it under consideration. That has been the case here. The next two matters, items number 4 and 5, case number 2023 R418 and 2023 R424. I am recommending that we declare the committee terminated and to dismiss the complaint. In the first case, the Board of Elections has reflected that Mr. Thornberry has moved out of the county and they can no longer contact him. And in the second case, David Feist was a judge here in Franklin County, is deceased.
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The next matter, I am recommending the commission dismiss, I'll figure it out.
You're having problems.
I am having problems today. I am recommending the commission dismiss this matter as the previous case that we had before the commission. If you look at the priors, resolved all outstanding matters. The committee has been declared terminated and the fine that was imposed in the past case has been paid. So I'm recommending this matter just be dismissed.
I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That matter passes 7-0. The next matter, I'm recommending the matter be dismissed for failure of service. We have tried repeatedly to contact the respondent and have no luck in doing so.
So moved.
Second. Give it to Charlie.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I'm
Opposed?
so sorry.
Sorry.
Who moved?
Mr. Carroll.
I did. I was seconded quick. I'm sorry.
The next matter, I'm recommending that the matter be dismissed as the board has indicated to me that the committee has been terminated.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Matter passes 7-0. Next, we're in the good cause category. Items number 25, 27, and 39 have not been dealt with. And so my recommendation in the other cases, which are cases number 2024 R-377, 2024 R-381, and 2025 R-007, is to find that there has been a violation, but for good cause, not oppose the fine or for a matter of further prosecution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we're down to the $100 fine category. Items number 15, 22, and 30 have not been dealt with. Those are case numbers 2024 R-035, 2024 R-362, and 2024 R-401. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next, we're down to the $150 fine category. Item number 40, case number 2025 R-008. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $150.
So moved.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next, we're at the $250 fine category. Items number 8 and 16, 2023 R-478 and 2024 R-090. My recommendation in those two cases is to find a violation and impose a fine of $250. And as you can see from my synopsis, the reports have been filed. No response was submitted. Each case has at least 2 priors with substantial fines.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next is my recommendation in these 2 cases to consolidate case number 2024 R-019 and 2024 R-434, find a violation and impose a fine of $300.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That matter, motion passes unanimously. The next item are items 23 and 24, case number 2024 R-371 and 2024 R-374. While they have different names, they were running a joint campaign committee. And so my recommendation in these cases is to consolidate those 2 cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $300. The reports have been filed, there was no response, and there was 1 prior violation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The next is my recommendation, item number 2, case number 2023 R-410, is to find a violation and impose a fine of $700. The report has been filed. There was no response. There are multiple priors, and the most recent fine amount imposed has not been paid.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The next item is item 21, case number 2024-R-354. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose $25 per day until such time as the report is paid. Give the respondent the opportunity to have the matter reconsidered if the report is filed and a request for reconsideration is submitted to the commission. The report has not been filed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next item is items 6 and 12, case number 2023-R451 and 520. I'm recommending that we consolidate these two cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $25 per day with a reconsideration option as the reports have not been filed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The next recommendation in case numbers are items number 7 and 38, case numbers 2023-R459 and 2025-R-006 is to find violation and impose a fine of $25 per day with reconsideration option. But give the opportunity to have a matter reconsidered with payment of $250. There are multiple reports multiple cases outstanding and the reports have not been filed.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Item number 17 is the next, case number 2024-R-265. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $44,500 plus $100 per day. But give the respondent an opportunity to have the matter reconsidered upon request and upon submission of the report.
Mr. Executive Director,
Yes.
so if we look at this page, it says the option for reconsideration, report not filed, in multiple priors. Has there ever been payment for the multiple priors?
No.
And have we ever had any type of correspondence or response from this?
For him, no, I reached out to the Board of Elections certainly, and they've indicated that they have not had any contact with him.
And so we just continue to add this on and then eventually we dismiss if he never responds.
Then we'll send a letter along to the Attorney General's office for collection, and that, and that I can't speak to how successful that often is, but there are times when the Attorney General's office will find someone and it will motivate them to act and get campaign finance reports filed, or at least reach back out to the commission.
So after this particular vote, will we then move this to the Attorney General? Well, how long do we wait for the reconsideration? Because
Well, we have to send out notice of the of finding by the commission. Then we send out an additional 15-day notice. That's our history. And then we refer it along to the Attorney General's office for collection. When exactly that would occur, I can't specifically say, but it would probably be sometime midsummer.
okay, thank you. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Matter of motion is that the matter has been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The rest of the matters on the agenda here, I will just briefly speak. They're all multiple times before the commission. Reports have not been filed. I checked back with the Board of Elections, and they have not received anything from them. And so the next two items are items number 20 and 35, case numbers 2024-R-352 and 2025-R-003. My recommendation is to consolidate those two cases, find a violation, and impose a fine of $44,500 plus $100 per day to give the respondent the opportunity to have the matter reconsidered.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. The next two items are items 9 and 10, case number 2023-R-480, 2023-R-484. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $88,100 plus $100 per day with reconsideration option. again, multiple priors. And the reason for the increased fine over the others is these are for, I think, 2022 annual or 23 semi-annual, and so the length of time between when the reports were due and today's meeting date is much greater. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the commission may have. If someone wants to make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The last two items here to be considered before the continuances are item 1 and 3 for our schools, 2022 R-514 and 2023 R-412. I will add here in conversation with staff and the Board of Elections as it relates to this. Particular school district, let's put it this way, based on what I've heard, is not being helpful in getting these matters resolved. And unfortunately, we don't have the Board of Elections or the school district for us. What we have is a committee that worked for the benefit of the schools and the treasurer. We did get service on the treasurer and I think in both these cases. And so hopefully this kind of finding will get their attention and get their and try to get this matter resolved before elections. My recommendation was consolidate these two matters, find a violation, and impose a fine of $80,400 plus $100 paid in the future, but give the committee and treasurer the option to have the matter reconsidered. I'll be glad to answer any question the commission may have.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next two matter, or the next three actually, all matters. Case numbers 2025 R-004, 2025 R-005, and 25 R-007. I'm recommending continued service. Chair, you have the ability to continue those matters.
Mr. Richter, you said 2025 R-07.
So you're one. Okay, thank you. And so, Madam Chair, you have the ability to continue those matters based on your authority. Would you like to continue?
Yes.
Okay, those matters have been continued. The one item left for the commission's consideration today is the advisory opinions that I've circulated to everybody. The advisory opinion from Sharon Ray, state representative on payment of apartment rent from campaign fund. As a synopsis, I'm essentially saying yes, that is allowable for those days when the office holder is conducting their duties here in Columbus. I know from an email that I got, but unfortunately I can't produce because my computer is not here because it's locked up on me. I know Mr. Knight had some questions and concerns as it related to the advisory opinion. I'll let him speak. I'll do my best to answer any questions before I blabber on about the advisory opinion. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Knight for his questions and concerns.
Yeah, so, I mean, I thought it was pretty clear when it was just a broad-based apartment rent. I still thought it was kind of broad because it doesn't have any sort of parameters around that, you know, can it be a penthouse apartment with 5 bedrooms and a gold toilet, right? I mean, it was really broad. But now that we've added the requirement, which I think makes sense, of duties of an office holder, it creates a whole level. First off, I think it's written confusingly because it's apartment rent, but days of the office holder. So does that mean they need to take the rent divided by 365? Now, is it because of that? Typically, if it were a per diem, everything is bundled. Now, can they do internet and utilities? What are considered duties? If you just do a 15-minute duty, does that qualify for the whole day? You know, if it was a duty that could have been in their home location, but they happen to be here anyway, now qualifies. I think it opens up a lot of confusion. And even if you take away the part around rent versus other costs and letter duties, just the way it's written, I found it confusing to understand with the addition, to be frank. So I would advocate for more clarity on a number of items before moving forward.
Okay. Madam Chair, if I may, just to confirm, first of all, members of the legislature currently have a per diem that's paid for by taxpayers if they're using a hotel in town, right? So they're able to be reimbursed at least a portion. It's difficult to get a hotel room cheap on that,
You want to take a,
5 minutes.
do we want to take
Discuss,
5 minutes?
just don't vote without.
Got it.
Well, maybe, let's take a 5 minute.
I think that.
Let's take 5 minutes.
No, I think we're all with.
No, yeah.
I've been a little more than
5 minutes break.
Yeah.
The time is 11:53 a.m. and we are going off the record.
So. Let's see.
It is. It is. The program is not, and it's
Yeah.
based on the days that they're in the session elected.
Bill.
Very difficult to start on.
2 million, thank you.
One difference here, how long you've been living.
Actually, I'm up there, Dave.
Oh, it's a-
I'm raising. You're out of there. Six. Yes. I was up where it was, once I started talking, it's fine, I'm sorry, and it takes 2 or 3 days at least to recall me into getting. That's why I did. And so that's why I wanted to put that kind of on the record, that, you know, because we had a check that the lady called on Thursday and said, hey, just making sure you got it. No, we haven't got the check. Well, it's signed for today. You know, I sent 77 South High, you know, Sweden, it was signed for. Right. Well, it probably went to the mail, where they signed for it, and that was on Thursday, we didn't get the check till Tuesday. So it was like, I mean, a substantial time before they delivered, so. Well, you're talking. If I need to, I'll read Chris. Is that just? I know, I'm saying, you gotta, take it. Yeah, it's, I can just print it for you. And here's the money.
I think we're in the process of hearing comments from Mr. Carroll.
Yeah.
Stand by. I'm so sorry. We are back on the record at 12:03 PM.
Okay, we're back.
Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Stalberg, for getting us a well-deserved restroom break. And so I guess, my comment to the executive director, I've read it several times, reflected on it, understand that, hey, this is a savings could be a potential savings to Ohio taxpayers. If they're renting an apartment. I do agree though with Commissioner Knight. It is probably broad, but oftentimes our advisory opinions are broad, as it relates to issues like this. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear. If the rent, I'm going to throw out a number of $1,000, is $1,000 a month. And the member was in Columbus executing their official duties for 5 of those calendar days of 365, that they would write from their campaign committee a check prorated to themselves or to the leasing agent or to the, it would probably be to themselves as a reimbursement, correct?
I guess it could be done either way. Honestly, I haven't contemplated that as a part of the opinion, certainly. But presumably they would write the check to the landlord. Because that's a little cleaner in terms of campaign finance law. Campaign finance filing identification of what your expenditure was for.
So, okay.
But it isn't in there. I would agree with that.
So I would ask Mr. Richter and my colleagues on the commission, should we ask Mr. Richter to spell that out more plainly, if you will, that if it was for 5 nights, the prorated check should be written from the campaign committee to the property owner. And then obviously that would be supplemented, that check would be supplemented with a personal check as well for the balance. Because obviously they're not going to be in Columbus every day, performing official duties. So that would be my only concern, but I just wanted to get some clarification.
Okay, not unreasonable. I will then ask question of Mr. Knight, does that sound like that response to some of the concerns that you have, or what other, could you be more specific in terms of some of the concerns that you have?
I mean, okay, as an example, let's use the one that he used, 5 days, right? Okay, is the calculation based on a 365-day year or a 52-week year? Is it only working days, right? Is there a limit in terms of the, he said $1,000 apartment rent. What if I get a fancy apartment that's 5,000? Is it now still, the same calculation? Is there any limit to what I can perform? And I have number of other sort of questions that I don't think that it covers. So no, I'm not comfortable.
Sure. As a former legislator, there are limits per day, that we are allowed for hotels or whatever else. And so I was a local, so I didn't take part in any of those, travel, you're reimbursed for your travel, you're reimbursed for your hotel. But it is based on the days that you're in session or that you have committee meetings. And so it would be based on, you pay your rent monthly, you don't pay it yearly. And it's based on the days and they're during the week, unless you're on the finance committee, and it could be on the weekends.
Yeah, you don't pay your rent monthly, but, is it gonna be based on a calculation of the number of days in session
Yes, yes.
divided by a monthly rent?
Yeah, it's your monthly rent. And then you would look at the days that the legislator is in session or attending committee meetings. And you would take whatever the rent is per month, prorate it based on the days that they were in session or in committee meeting. And I know that.
But what's the denominator? What is the number of days? Because you're
It
proxy.
varies. It varies. There is no prescribed number of days per year that the legislature meets. We are supposed to be a part legislature. However, they act as though they're a full-time. Absolutely. And so that was one of the bills that I had before the General Assembly, was to limit the number of days like many, many states have, so that legislators could work another job. For those who live out of town, it's nearly impossible unless you're a lawyer, you own your own company. The average Mary and John can't find many employers that are going to employ them full-time and be down here in Columbus for all of the days that they are here for session or committee.
I understand we have folks that are, representatives that come in here confused about various, laws and opinions, frequently. I read this and, given all the variables that you just laid out, I'd have to figure out my own kind of set of assumptions. I personally believe that it needs more clarity. But if the rest of the commission wants to vote to move it forward, that's certainly the group's decision.
So, Mr. Richter, I guess I want a little more clarity because now I'm starting to think and ask different questions from yesterday. So this is an opinion for campaign finance spending, our ability as former legislator to spend. But then there's also rules that the state house has. So the Senate has rules and House of Representatives has rules on what you can and can't do, what's considered reimbursable and what isn't. Is there a way, because it seems like this opinion is written with both of those things in mind, the Ohio Elections Commission and what ethics is saying? Is there a way to kind of make sure those two are specifically separated? It's one opinion, but separated out. So for example, I was a state rep and at the time we were reimbursed $65 a night. There's no hotel you could stay at the GBI, which I never did, for $65 a night. And so most of the spending, because I did not know I could use my campaign dollars to pay that, I was paying out of pocket. One of the things I would always say, this is the only job I've ever had where I have to pay to do my job because the hotel room will be $135 a night and we get $65 reimbursed. I know that has nothing to do with what you're asking, but I'm trying to put it in very specific details. But ethics is saying that there's only certain days, but depending on what your ranking is as a member of the body, it changes things. So if I am Shayla Davis, Ohio House of Representatives, District 11, I live in Cleveland, but I am also the not vice chair, what do we call it? Ranking member on finance or the caucus, the vice chair of the caucus. That's not what it's called, but it's all I can think of right now. Then I may have to come to Columbus more. Is that considered official business? Because that's not committee, and it's not session. And there are times that caucus gets called here in Columbus and we've got to show up.
Based on her request and, some of the things that she outlined as a part of her request, what she said, they wouldn't necessarily get refunded. I tried to take that into consideration by considering those things, and such as you're talking about there, if you're the ranking member, et cetera, that you may not get reimbursed for under the ethics rules, to allow that as a part of your campaign expenditure. To me, that those are some of the duties of a public office holder, of that public office holder. And so I thought that my efforts here to try and allow those kinds of expenditures where the ethics aspect of it didn't allow those was something that was appropriate. And so that's what I tried to do here, yes. In my conversations with JLAC, as it relates to some of not some of, but the changes that I made yesterday to the opinion, it was an agreement between Mr. Bledsoe and Tony Bledsoe, who's the director of the Joint Legislative Ethics Committee, and I. He felt that the changes that were made were appropriate as it related to campaign finance aspects and speaking to the allowances in campaign finance. And I respect what Mr. Knight is saying, and that, it could be better written in terms of clarity as it relates to election days and service, et cetera. And so I'm not saying it couldn't be more clear there, but they were satisfied with that this spoke to the campaign finance law and the application of campaign finance law. But the paragraph that I entered into on the last page, which reads, General Assembly members must be mindful that this opinion is limited to the interpretation of Ohio's campaign finance statutes. For any other considerations related to this situation, the members seek out the appropriate legislative counsel, I should say legislative legal counsel, for their opinion. Because he felt like it was important to differentiate the campaign finance aspects of this opinion from what the application of the ethics laws, the House and Senate ethics laws is to the same situation. If that makes sense.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just one point. Sometimes I just kind of went through the opinion again, just to kind of see. Sometimes it's awfully helpful to provide examples. I mean, I think what you're saying is we're going to take either 31, 30, or 28 divided by the number of days you're actually on state business, and that's the amount that you pay or your campaign is permissible to provide, and then you pay the remainder on that monthly basis for rent. Would it not make sense to provide a couple of practical examples within the advisory opinion? Because there aren't that many fact patterns of what people do as far as renting an apartment and paying for a portion of it, for example, from their campaigns. Could you provide a couple of examples, just real world examples in the advisory opinion that I think would be awfully helpful in instructing folks? Would that provide clarity or be of any value? And regardless of the answer to that, I think we might want to allow Phil to update it to address some of these concerns and revisit the advisory opinion.
Yeah, I will include and just say, based on the concerns expressed by Mr. Knight, what you're saying, I would recommend shelving this for the moment and giving an opportunity to further clarify some of the issues that are out there and hopefully come to a better resolution. I don't have any problem with that. That makes sense to me.
What about example?
It's not something that has been done that often as I can think of it, but that probably makes sense. And I would be looking to potentially Ms. Davis, Ms. Tavares, and maybe Mr. Haraway, and Mr. Stoutberg too, for their experience in legislature. I'll come up with some examples maybe and to narrow down you guys and run it by you guys to see if that makes sense.
So that I know what to do. I mean, there's only so many fact patterns. If I'm a legislator, I know, okay, here's what they really meant by this.
Right.
Practically speaking, I just think the insertion of maybe just one example would be sufficient. But so to address the clarity requested from Mr. Knight, to provide a real world example so people have a real sense of what they can or can't do, I would make a motion to postpone our decision on the advisory opinion until Mr. Richter has an opportunity to update it and reconsider the advisory opinion.
No, there's a motion, but I have one comment, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I guess where I'm kind of getting a little concerned is I don't want us to get away from the campaign finance aspect of it. And we start to get into the ethics. And that's where I am having an issue because it sounds like what Mr. Knight is asking is more about what is and isn't ethical, which is separate from, to your point, what she specifically has and where campaign finance lies off of that.
And to clarify, I agree with you, and I would want the example to be tailored toward only the campaign finance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Madam Chair, I'm glad you raised that issue because that was where I had some concerns. And you may want to just say that you should seek the advice of the Ohio Ethics Commission.
No, the
Legislative, I'm sorry, the Legislative
Yes.
Ethics Commission,
Right.
because I don't want people to rely on the elections part of it
Right.
and not the ethics.
Well, and there, I'll interject to say that's why I appreciate Mr. Bledsoe's comment on adding that aspect to, because that's not normally something we would have put in an advisory opinion. Although I want to think that we may have had one or two judicial opinions where, you know, we'll comment on the campaign finance aspects, but also say, you know, for a judicial candidate, you know, make sure you're reaching out to the judicial, to the Supreme Court for any canon issues that may be applicable, because you do have potential conflict there.
Sure.
And yeah, and I would certainly make sure that this is totally focused just on the campaign finance aspects, because I don't want to get us involved in any kind of ethics aspects of those things that this commission is not responsible for, but then I'm certainly not an expert on it.
And I apologize because we do have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second, okay?
Second.
So,
You be clear on the motion.
Postpone and reach.
Just the postpone.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm good.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I will come up with something new and different. One thing that I have that was
Consultation.
that was pointed out to me, certainly Mr. Stoutberg is here and he's done an excellent job representing as he is supposed to. But the reason why he is here is that Ms. Hagan was conflicted. She had another obligation. And so I would recommend that we move to excuse Ms. Hagan for good cause.
So
moved.
Second.
Wherever I fall.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is. Okay.
We have no other business, correct?
One other thing that, well, our next meeting is scheduled for April 10th. And in a brief conversation with Mr. Hughes a minute ago, he indicated he wanted to make a comment on the record. Mr. Hughes?
Yes, so my comment was regarding, earlier today, we had a gentleman that mentioned he had submitted a response to the commission and we aren't showing that we have it. A lot of times when someone will send mail to us, it's not uncommon. Every piece of mail goes to our mail room and it will take them a few days to sort it and get it to us. In fact, for an example, on Thursday, we had a lady call our office and said, "Hey, I sent a check to you. Do you have it?" "No, we don't have your check." "Well, it was signed for this morning. And I've got a signature here, shows it was signed for." I said, "Well, we don't have it, and that's not a name that I recognize." And I said, you check back tomorrow or in a couple of days, and she did, and we didn't get the check until late Tuesday when the mailroom delivered it to us. So it sat out there from the time it was delivered to them on Thursday, all the way until late Tuesday when we got it. So for that to him to show a delivery as of the 18th, there's a very real possibility we don't have it, because our typical process when we receive mail, it generally will run across either my desk or Betty's desk. We will stamp it in and hand it directly to Phil. He'll review, make sure everything looks proper, and he hands it back to us and says, "Stick that in the file," you know, and when I go to make my recommendations, I'll have everything I need. And so it's all happens within the same day, just to make sure that nothing gets lost or misplaced. So I just wanted to kind of put that on record that there's a good chance that we haven't gotten it yet. If it was just delivered to the mailroom on Tuesday, It may have been in today's mail upstairs, or it may be in tomorrow's mail for when we actually receive it. So I just, as I said, wanted to put that on the record.
So Chris, what you're saying is the mail comes here, but you guys do not sign for it. The mailroom does, and then there's a delay because there's mail distribution throughout the entire building that happens.
Correct. And actually, not just our building. We used to have a mailroom in our building. However, they consolidated all of the mailrooms down here to the one that is in the Rhodes Tower. So that mailroom gets for the State House, gets for Rhodes Tower, ours, the William Green building where like the Ethics Commission would be, and other various state agencies. They get all of that mail. So it does take them a few days to sort.
Madam Chair, I have a question. So when you guys get something that's registered mail, do you sign for it, or is this the mail?
The best answer I have is yes. Because it depends on,
What does that mean?
so it depends on there are some folks over there that I don't know their procedure, that a lot of times they will sign for it. And well, I've got an A Scott that signed for it. Well, I don't know, but there are others that will come to us with the green card still attached that we will sign for. But it'll still show the delivery date as of however many days prior. They just didn't actually sign the thing. So
I can throw out the great legal it depends answer, because I know I've signed for things before that come through to us. And there are other times where I will get it, an envelope that had a green card attached to it. You can see the remnant of it, but the green card's not there anymore, so it's already been returned. So
Well, that's good to know.
it kind of goes both ways when it comes right down to it.
So I do have one more question, and I know everyone's waiting, so that's Commissioner Carroll. So is there an opportunity then for the commission to have a conversation with the mailroom? And I do understand no one wants to upset the people in the mailroom in the building, right? But because we're having hearings and because, the folks that come before us are saying, I'll go back to, who was it, Ms. McCullough, who said she did do certified, she just didn't have a green return receipt. She said she mailed that on the 7th. Today is the 21st, 20th. I would assume by now, even with everything you've explained, it should be in our office, but we're not really clear. Could we have a conversation with them about at least certified mail moving a little more expeditiously? Because we have hearings and we do need to have information. It helps us move a little smoother through our process.
We can try. How's that for the best answer that I can provide? And I'm more than willing to try. We'll sound like we're making nothing but excuses here. We obviously use a lot of certified mail, but we send out certified mail. And there are, I don't have my ICWs with me or available, but, we'll send out certified mail. Like for this meeting, it was January
some
24th,
Yeah.
January 15th or something like that. We'll get certified mail green cards back, and I'll have a signature on them for February 16th, February 15th. So it takes that long, and it could be because they're doing, trying to get service and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it takes a while, and, who knows why. But so I will gladly reach out and try and ask for a little more expeditious service under certain circumstances.
And as soon as we get back to the office and I'm able to download the video, I'll have access to the certified card that she had that had the tracking number.
Right.
And I will run that tracking number just to see where it's at. If it still says out for delivery or, hey, delivered on this date. And I can send an email to a group email to everyone just to say, hey, this is the status. I see, it says it was delivered on this date, or hey, it still says out for delivery. Just to let you know where that stands.
Okay, thank you.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This
Meeting is adjourned.
That's helpful explanation.
That is.
Yes, absolutely.
The time is 12:27 PM and we are off the record.
Absolutely. Be safe. And I will have travel for, process it, because I was able to transfer those funds so I can start processing some travel. So. To adjourn,
Who, seconded the motion to adjourn?
Mr. Stelberg.
Stoutberg, okay.
Correct.
Right.
No, I don't know